Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to The One. Welcome, everyone. I'm really happy to be on here with you today for today's masterclass. It is something that I have been thinking about, something that I wanted to teach on for a while, something that I know a lot of you have been feeling something towards this, and you might not have been able to articulate exactly what it is that you're looking for, but I believe that this is the thing. This is the thing for you. So today we are talking about the one. You being the one. You being the change for your whole bloodline. You being the change for everything in your own life and all to come. For those who you know and those who you don't know. So I'm your host today. I'm your teacher today. My name is Shani Leatham. I'm a transformation specialist and a wealth identity mentor out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And as you're coming in, please go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. I absolutely love to know how far our reach is. And, if this is something that you feel drawn to, it's not because of no reason. There's something that pulled you here today. I want to know exactly what it is, if you're able to articulate it yourself. So, as I said, let me know where you're watching from. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And we do these sessions every so often. It's to help you learn. It's to help you grow. It's to help you experience something that you might not have experienced before. It's to help you get an understanding of all the intricacies in changing yourself. It's not just about the strategy and just about the doing. It's also about the internal faculties and the things that we don't actually spend enough time on. Honestly, these are things that should be taught in schools, but I digress. So welcome to today's live event. As I said, let me know where you're watching from. I'm very happy, very, very happy to be helping you navigate your way to becoming that one, to becoming the one, whatever that one looks like for you, okay? So I typically host live events monthly, live masterclasses monthly. And when I decide on what to teach, oftentimes it's not for me. Oftentimes it's not for me. It's a thought that's been downloaded into me. And I believe that God wanted me to teach about this, right? So it's something that has been there. I've experienced it myself. And since I've experienced being the one, being the change in my bloodline, how could I not share this with you? How could I not share this with you? So this is the message that needs to be shared today, and we're going to talk about it. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. If you have, if you want to discuss things further, I will put in the comments the link so that you can book a consult call. Okay, that's one of our services that we provide at the Breakthrough Academy here. It's a consult call so you can talk to us about whatever it is that you want to talk to us, okay? So I am really, really happy to have this lesson with you, to share this lesson with you on becoming the one, okay? So today's format is a bit different than our typical masterclasses in that our masterclasses are usually 2 days. They're usually spread over 2 days, but the information, the lesson that I'm teaching today, there's somebody that needs this right away. So to break it up into 2 days, that's just not going to happen. So today's format is different in that we're going to have 2 sessions today. Okay, so I'm going to teach you for about an hour and a half. We'll take a 30-minute break and then we'll reconvene for another hour to an hour and a half so that you can get everything that you need and so that you can implement those changes immediately. I don't know who it is that's on here that requires the knowledge, the lessons, the embodiment of becoming that one, becoming the one. You feel it. You know it's in you. I don't know who this is for, but I also do know that to wait to learn, to wait to get the information, to wait, like, Shani, just hurry up already. It's annoying, it's frustrating, and you need it now. So that's why we're changing this format to what it is today, okay? I'm going to talk to you about what it takes on the inside, okay? Obviously what it takes on the outside, but what it takes on the inside, and then what you need to do on the outside so that you can start to live this life, okay? I'm going to talk to you about the missing elements. These are things, again, that are not typically taught in schools. great for me. Typically taught in schools, I'm going to teach you about the transformation from who you are now to who you need to be. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're also going to be talking about the turning points. Like, what was the catalyst to become the one? At least for me, I will share my story in that way. And for the people who come to me, who come to learn, who come to be in my programs, who come to just understand and be in this energy, what the catalyst was for them. What was that turning point? Everyone has a turning point, okay? Unfortunately, it's not always the best thing, but it's always something that gets you moving. And if it's something that gets you moving, I'm here for it, because I want you to live the life that you're destined to live, not one that you're settling for. Is that fair? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if you have registered through the link, I provided a link to register for this event. If you had registered through the link, by the end of today, you will receive the replays for session 1 and session 2 via email, okay? And that's great, because then you have access to it at your fingertips without having to go and search for where it is. However, I know not everyone goes and registers for these things, and that's totally fine. I like to make sure that you have access to all of my lessons, all of the trainings, everything, okay? So this will live on my YouTube channel, Shani Leatham, in perpetuity. It will live there forever. So by the end of today, you will have access to these trainings, okay? And all of the other trainings that I've done before on identity, on wealth identity, on wealth energy, on getting out of hustle mode and struggle mode and going into the overflow, all of those things are available to you there on the YouTube channel, okay? So you can go back and review it forever and ever, amen. Okay? Good. Also, while I host live events, and I have master classes, and I put social, like, content all over my socials, on all of my socials. I also have a full academy where we teach you the embodiment, where we teach you how to live it, where your actual transformation takes place. And so yes, you can get some great information, great knowledge, and it's a great starting point on these live events. But if you want to experience real transformation, real change in your life, in whichever form it is, if you want to go from overdrawn to overflow, this is what we teach you within our program. So we have programs, we have courses, we have books, we have all of it, okay? That you can find within the Breakthrough Academy. I will post a link so that you can go and take a look at that, or you can just book a consult call with me. That's it. We do 30-minute consult calls. We can talk about what your goals are. We can talk about how we can help you get there. Typically within the first 15 minutes of this call, I can tell you exactly what your identity block is. And then we can devise a plan so that you can break through that block, adopt a new identity, and live the life that you want to live that comes with the outcomes that you desire. Okay? Like this, it's so great. It's such an honor that I get to do this for so many people. And the reason that I love doing this is because someone did this for me. Someone taught me how to not live the way that I was living. I was living a good life, but I wasn't living my life to its fullest. I found myself in foreclosure, almost losing my home 3 times. I'm very smart, I'm very resourceful, I'm very active, I will do the job, but it had nothing to do with me with what I was doing as a person. It had to do with who I thought I was, who I believed I was. And because we don't focus enough on our internal faculties, there are a lot of you who are so talented, who have beautiful gifts, who have all the intellect in the world, and you're not living your life to its potential. I know so many people who have MDs and PhDs, and they're driving taxi cabs. MDs and PhDs and lawyers and top corporate executives, and they're barely making ends meet. And it has nothing to do with what they're doing. It has everything to do with who they're being. So when I learned about who I was being, and that learning that I needed to be a different version of myself, a better version of myself, it made all all the change in the world. So this is why I come on here and I teach you and I give you these lessons and I pour from my heart and I pour from my soul and I give you what's downloaded to me, because sometimes it's not from me. And I just have to accept that. Sometimes it's not from me, okay? So if this is the kind of thing that you want to delve deeper into, great. Great. I encourage you to set up the consult call with me. In fact, let me make sure that that is in there. Yep, it's now in there to book a consult call. I encourage you to book that consult call with me. The link is now in the comments, okay? So before we begin, I think I've gone through all the housekeeping. Before we begin, every live event, every event period, every masterclass, I begin with a prayer. It's always my intention to make sure that you receive what you are supposed to receive without any interference from anyone, anything that doesn't belong here, okay? So whether you're a believer or not, that's great. I got you covered, I am. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this quick prayer, okay? Also, I believe that we need to have like a connection to the divine. All of your change, all of your transformation, everything that you want to experience is necessary through God. If you need God in your life in that way. So if you want to collapse time, if you want to quantum leap your life, there are things that we don't know how to do that he does. Okay, so we're going to take it from there. Okay, so thank you, Lord. Thank you, God, for bringing us together to learn and fellowship. There are people here today who need a change and don't know what to do. I thank you for guiding them to me, Lord. I thank you for bringing them to me to care for them. I ask you to speak through my vocal cords and think through my mind. None of me and all of you. And it is in the name of your loving Son, Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. Okay, guys, let's talk about the one, because this is why you're here. I haven't even said much and I can already feel it. I'm going to have a lot to say today. So I want to begin with something very important, okay? By the way, if you haven't gotten a pen and paper, if you've never been on one of my lives before, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments. If you've been here before, you know that there's things that you're going to need to write down, okay? Yes, you can probably write it down if you watch the replay, but there are things that you're going to have intuitive hits. You're going to have some things that come to you and speak to you and say, oh, whoa. What was that? Write it down, okay? Write it down. It's there. It's touching you for a reason, okay? So if you are here today, and you are here today, whether you're on the replay or you're watching live, welcome. You already know why. You already know why. You did not just arrive here randomly. I don't believe that. I don't believe in random. I don't think you just stumbled here out of curiosity. There's something inside you that brought you here today. And it's because there's been a voice, in my opinion. There's been a voice, and it could be a quiet one at times, but it's nagging. It's persistent. And it's the voice that says that there's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than this for you. It's more peace and more wealth and more joy and more freedom and more impact. There has to be more than this. You could be the most educated person in the world, doing well, and still feel unfulfilled and still feel like there's more for you to do and more for you to experience. And that's why you've been pulled here today. Okay? Sorry. This is why you're here, okay? And it's not just looking for a slightly better version of you that you're living right now, but an entirely different version. Yes? And if you're honest with yourself, because this is what happened to me, that voice is just starting to get louder and louder and louder. And it's the voice that says, I'm not here to repeat the same year. I'm not here to repeat the same financial story over and over again. I'm not here to just hustle and exhaust myself and struggle my way through life. I'm not here to watch other people build the life that I know that I'm capable of. I'm not here for that. The voice is actually something deeper. It's the voice that says, I'm meant to cause a stir. You know, I'm meant to shake things up. I'm meant to do something different. I'm meant to change the path of my entire bloodline. And whatever it's been up till now, fantastic. But you're meant to do something different. You're meant to do something because I'm the one that changes everything. And that's exactly what this is about. I am the one that changes everything. And if this thought has ever crossed your mind, okay, whether you say something in the comments or not, if this has ever crossed your mind, even quietly, even for just a moment, then today's training was created for you, okay? And I'm excited about that because over the next 2 sessions, we are going to talk about the one, you being the one in the family who decides the cycle ends here, okay? The one who refuses to accept struggle as your inheritance. The one who rises up and builds wealth and builds peace and builds opportunity for future generations that they will benefit from. Okay? The one who becomes the first millionaire in your family or the next millionaire who actually expands your legacy. But here's something I want to make very clear from the beginning, okay? The one doesn't sit down on the sidelines watching people pass them by. The one doesn't sit down on the sidelines waiting for something good to happen. They don't do that, okay? They decide that they're committed to creating. They decide that they're committed to change. And I believe that there's a big difference between being interested in a change and interested in creating versus committed to it. And you'll see it in your results. You'll absolutely see it in your results, okay? And that's the word that matters, committed. Committed matters because there's a difference between wanting something and being committed to something. When somebody merely wants something, when they just, yeah, this would be nice to have, they just hope it happens, okay? They just hope it happens. But when somebody is committed to something, they decide this is what's happening, it's done, I'm here, no matter what. They make a way where there seems to be no way, okay? They figure it out. They make do when don't tries to prevail. It's one of my finer lines. They make do when don't tries to prevail. I couldn't hide it, guys. I was very impressed with that. Okay? But they refuse to let circumstances determine their outcome, is what I'm trying to say. And that kind of commitment, that level of commitment is so powerful. And it signals to God something really important. If you think about it, it says, God, you can trust me with the vision that you placed within me. You can trust me. You can trust me to develop it. You can trust me to move with it. You can trust me to build with it. Oftentimes, when we get these beautiful ideas, they're not from us. Have you ever sat there and thought, I want to change the world. How am I going to change the world? Or I want to change something. And then all of a sudden, boom, bam, this is this really impactful idea that comes to you. You know that's not from you. You know that's not from you, and you can take credit for it, but it's not from you. You opened yourself up to this creative plane, which we'll talk about it shortly, but you've opened yourself up to connection with the one who's created everything. Okay? And so when God sees that type of commitment, your doors begin to open. Doors begin to open, opportunities start to appear where there weren't any before, or where you did not notice them before, right? Resources begin to arrive. Paths that you couldn't see, suddenly you can see them. Suddenly, and you've heard and suddenly before. Suddenly they become clear because the commitment activates movement. Your commitment activates movement, and your movement activates change, okay? So over these next 2 sessions, we're going to walk through the transformation that's required for you to become the one. It's so important. We're going to talk about identity. We're going to talk about creation. We're going to talk about wealth, and we're going to talk about opportunity, and we're going to talk about prosperity and how that's actually built. Okay? And by the end of this live event, my goal for you, it's really simple. I want you to stop wondering whether your life can change, because it can. And I want you to begin building. I want you to begin building the life that you were actually meant to live. Because in case you didn't know, you weren't meant to struggle. You weren't meant to live in strife. You weren't meant to strive all the time. You weren't meant to hustle all the time. You weren't meant to be impoverished. You weren't meant to just have enough. We were created for overflow. We are God's highest form of creation. I'll talk about that again shortly. We were given dominion over the earth. And then we were given rules that we decided to live by somebody else who wanted power and who wanted wealth and who wanted whatever and put us in our place. And so, yes, we were conditioned to live a certain way, but we can change that conditioning because our minds are neuroplastic. We can create new neural pathways. We can learn different things. We can change our subconscious mind. We can create different paths. We can choose a different identity and live the life that we actually want to live and experience what we want to experience, because it's all available to you in this instant, okay? It's all available to you right now. And so I want you to also understand that transformation, well, with it, we have to begin with something basic, okay? We have to begin with the fundamentals. And so we have to begin with who you really are, who you are being, okay? So who are you? What you should know, first off, my friend, is that if I were to say, if someone was to say to me, who am I? I'd tell you all about me, right? Most people believe that, I'm Shani. No, Shani is my name. I'm not Shani. Just as much as I'm not my hand. I have one of those, okay? But who I am in my essence, and my true essence, is I'm a spirit, as are you. So before your body moves in any new direction, your spirit has to move first. Right? Because what happens when our spirit leaves our body doesn't move. So we are clearly not our body. We live in this body. This might be some language that you will receive or not receive. I just want you to sit here with an open mind, okay? Because this is where the people who see change in their life, they're open. They accept, they understand, okay? Everything begins there. Because the truth is, you're not just a human being going through life randomly. You're not. You are literally a spirit having a human experience, okay? And your spirit, the part of you that's connected to God, the creator of everything, it's already whole. It's already whole. There's nothing broken. There's nothing missing. There's nothing limited within your spirit, okay? Your spirit, you've heard this before, I'm sure, was wonderfully made. And so before you ever made a mistake, and before you ever doubted yourself, before life introduced circumstances to you that made you question your potential, that made you question your worth, that made you question your value, you were created in perfection, and downloaded into a body like a computer program, okay? And yet, most people spend their entire lives identifying with the wrong things. They do, and it starts at a very young age. They identify with their mistakes. They say, I messed up, so I've got to be a screw up. I messed this up, I've got to be a mess up. They identify with their mistakes, okay? They identify with their past. So I tried this before. I already know this is not going to work, so I tried it. I did it. They identify with their past. I need you to understand something very quickly. Who you were before has nothing to do with who you're going to be unless you allow it. You are under no obligation to be who you were a week ago. You are under absolutely no obligation to be who you were a year ago. You are absolutely under no obligation to be who you were 5 minutes ago. You're not, okay? So you don't have to identify with your circumstances. A circumstance is temporary as far as I'm concerned. It's temporary. A situation is temporary. Nothing is permanent unless you make it so, unless you allow it to be so. And people identify with their circumstances, and they identify with the situation. They say, well, you know what? I can't get this job because I'm not qualified for it. Who told you that? The People who are in jobs, a lot of jobs. Now, there are certain jobs you need to be qualified for. Let's not be ridiculous, right? But there are certain jobs where you can learn on the job. And when you look at the job description, it says, this is what the job is. This is what it would be nice for you to have. And then these are the mandatories. The nice for you to have doesn't mean you have to have it. And so you disqualify yourself from living. You disqualify yourself from receiving. You disqualify yourself from having certain things because in your mind, it doesn't fit like your current identity. And so you identify with your circumstance. When I was going through the foreclosure process, and praise God, I got myself out of it. Or really, he did. When we got ourselves out of it, when we got me out of it, at one point I was just like, oh man, I suck. I know I'm smart. I can do all the things. Nobody knows what's going on in my life. You could not tell what I was going through, but I was living it. I was anxious all the time. I ate myself 40 pounds heavier because I was worried. This just has to be who I am because this is my circumstance. And then eventually I was like, wait a minute. Again, this is just my circumstance. This is not who I was created to be. Why am I choosing to believe this? Why am I choosing to believe that just because this is the hand that was dealt, or just because this is the result of my past thoughts and my past patterns and my past actions, that my life has to look this way for the rest of my life? It doesn't. So when I started learning this and being mentored by someone else, and I paid for mentorship, they taught me to look at something different. And that's where I really learned the spirit-human connection. And yes, I believed in God, and yes, I believed in Jesus, but I needed it to be explained to me in a different way. And now I get it. Now I teach it, okay? So people identify with roles that society has assigned to them. Any of you the strong friend? That was me. This is a role that society has assigned to you. Are you the reliable one at work? Are you the one who takes care of everybody? Are you, just because you're the firstborn or you're responsible for all the things, you make all the decision, are you the advice giver? Are you the screw up? Are you the one who's always late? And people just expect that from you, right? What you also need to understand is people are not forgiving in allowing you to grow and be someone different. I used to be late all the time. All the time. I had to take a family member somewhere and they were like, oh, I don't want to be late. I haven't been late in years. Years. And they still look at me as the person who was late over a decade ago. Right? So we can't even look towards other people while we're choosing what we're going to do with our lives. And we can't look for their validation while we're choosing what we're going to do with our lives, because they still look at you from the lens of who you were, not who you're deciding to be. Okay? So people identify with the roles that society has given them, and we can't do that. But none of those things actually define who you are in your true essence. Okay? So my job over these next 2 sessions is to help you remember who you really are. Right? If you've watched the movie Black Panther, there's a scene where Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa, he was fighting somebody. Who is it? Killmonger, what's his name? He just won the Oscar. Michael B. Jordan. And he's getting his ass whooped. And was it him he was fighting? No, it wasn't. It was M'Baku. Okay, he was fighting M'Baku's character. And Angela Bassett, the mother, the Queen Mother, she shouts out to him. She's like, show them who you are. As in, remember who you are. Don't just take defeat because it's being given to you. Don't just take struggle because it's being given to you. Don't just take the crumbs because it's being offered to you when you're worth the whole freaking loaf. Remember who you are. So that's my goal over these next 2 sessions, to help you remember who you are so that you can start to shift. Okay? Because when you remember who you are as a creation of God, everything begins to shift. There are things that you will no longer tolerate. There are things that you're no longer going to accept from yourself and from others. And it will shake things up in relationships and friendships. But you're going to have to teach people about your new boundaries. because who you were is not going to be the one who's going to take you to becoming the one. Who you are now, great, brought you to this live event. Who you're going to be, somebody completely different, okay? An elevated version of you, an elevated, beautiful, well-connected version of you, okay? And you're not just, I need you to realize something here, okay? And I mentioned this earlier at the top. You're not just a creation of God. You are God's highest form of creation. Do you get it? The highest form of creation, which means that you've been given something that no other creature on this planet has been given, right? Like no other creature on this planet possesses this in the same way. You've literally been given the authority to create with him. With him. You think he put you on this earth to not pay your bills? All right, boom. I'm going to create you in the image of me. Struggle. No way. Absolutely no way. But he also gave you this beautiful thing, this mind, this intellect, this imagination, which is, we're going to talk about where you create with him. And sometimes we don't use that imagination in the best way. And so that place where creation begins, it's where all creation begins, is that imagination. As far as I'm concerned, that is my greatest business tool. My imagination has earned me so much. My imagination has put me in rooms where I had no business being rooms in. My imagination has put me on podcasts and given me opportunities to earn more than I've ever earned in my life. My imagination. I tap here even though it might not be there. Okay? And just so you know, your brain is not your imagination. Just putting that out there, okay? Your imagination is not a place where, it's not just a place where random thoughts appear, okay? It's literally the creative plane for your life. And if you learn how to tap into this creative plane where the ideas are born big and small, you can do anything, 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 and everything, okay? It's where possibilities are formed. It's beautiful. It's where visions of the future are constructed, where they're made, okay? And this is what separates humans from every other creature on the earth. Other creatures have, they have instinct. They operate by instinct. We have imagination and intellect, obviously instinct. But these are higher faculties that are afforded and awarded to us, and yet we use them in not the best way. So I want to get you to think a little bit differently on how to use your God-given ability, okay? We really have the ability to imagine something that doesn't exist yet. Like, how incredible is that? The ability to imagine something that doesn't even exist yet and then bring it into reality. We can do that. We do that all the time. Now, think about that for a moment. Okay? Think about that for a moment. This phone or whatever you're watching this live training on, it was first created in someone's mind. It first existed in someone's mind before it was manufactured, before it was engineered, before it was sold in stores. It was created in someone's mind. Someone imagined it. Someone imagined it. The chair you're sitting on right now, the chair I'm sitting on right now, somebody thought it through. Somebody said, I want the chair to look and feel like this. Okay, great. Now I'm going to create it. The home you live in, the car you drive, every building in every city, everything you see around you was created twice. And people seem to forget that, or they ignore it. Okay, they're not aware of it. They're created twice, first in the mind and then in the physical world. So if you can see it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. That's a perpetual transmutation of energy. Okay, it's one of the universal laws. If you can see it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. We used to call it fantasizing when we were younger. Okay, but it was only, fantasizing was used for time, right? But everything we create is just a fantasy. It's just literally a fantasy. Okay, so if everything in this world begins as a thought, everything in this world begins as a thought, that means something important, doesn't it? Doesn't it? The life that you dare to imagine is already living within you. The life that you dare to imagine is already living within you, because you can create it. You can decide what you want it to be like. You can decide what you want it to feel like. You can decide how you want to experience things. You can determine what you want the rest of your life to look like. You can decide what and create December 31st, 2026, and what your life is like by then. And then we can work back and make that a reality. You can do that. It's literally one of your higher faculties, one of your highest faculties, okay? And so it all begins in your imagination is what I'm just trying to say. And so you first must see it. You have to see it. You have to envision it. Now, some people do not have the ability, the actual ability to see. We see in pictures. That's why when we dream, we try to remember a dream. We see in pictures. We dream in pictures. They don't have the ability. It's called aphantasia. Okay? But there are other ways that you can still create through vision, through sensory, through thought, and decide what you want your life to look like. But you first must allow yourself to envision in whichever way. Okay? Aphantasia or not. You've decided to be the one, right? You did, right? That's why you're here, right? Well, first you have to know what you want your life to look like. I can't tell you what your life is going to look like. Your vision for being the one and my vision for being the one are completely different. But I can tell you what you need to do. Okay? You first have to decide what you want to experience. Okay? What do you want to experience? What do you want to feel on a daily basis? And feeling is so important, because without feeling, it will not be impressed on your subconscious mind, and you'll get distracted and go back to your everyday life. So feeling is important. How do you want to feel on a daily basis? I decided that I wanted to feel free and I wanted to feel at peace. They're not the same. I wanted to feel free and I wanted to feel at peace. And let me tell you, when I first experienced that, I wanted to freaking jump out the window. I was so excited. It's nothing I'd ever felt like before. And for me, how could I feel free and feel at peace? I didn't want to have a mortgage and I didn't want to pay rent. So I got myself to a place where I no longer had a mortgage and I no longer had to pay rent. Everything taken care of. There is so much freedom in that. But aside from having that experience, I had to feel it first. I had to feel it first so that when it came, I didn't push it away. I didn't sabotage it. Okay? So how do you want to feel on a daily basis? What kind of impact do you want to make in this world? You want to be the one, right? Well, the one is not just for you. So what kind of impact do you want to make in this world? What kind of wealth do you want to build? This is what you have to think about. What kind of peace do you want in your home? Please think about that. Some people live in a toxic environment. Some people have chaos within their home, especially if you have little ones. It's a little chaotic at times, and that's okay. But what kind of peace do you want in your home? Is chaos peace for you? Okay? Think about it. These questions matter because they activate your creative power. They activate your creative power. And if that vision exists within you, and we know it does, there's a reason. There's a reason. It's because you are meant to be the one. You are meant to be the one to bring it into reality. So these ideas and these thoughts and these emotions and all of these things are not given to you specifically for no reason. You are meant to bring them into reality. We get a lot of ideas a day. We run through 60 to 70,000 thoughts in our mind on a daily basis. Okay? There's this thing called the reticular activating system, which is our filter, which has us focusing on the things that we think about the most, the things that we see the most. But every so often, a big idea will just pop into there. Bypass the filter. It'll just pop into there, just come into you. It'll be downloaded into you. And we get a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of really impactful, large, life-changing ideas and thoughts and pictures given to us in our lifetime. They're given to you because you're the one who's supposed to bring it into reality. Okay? It's you. Sometimes we just say, oh, that would be nice, I can't do it. And we let our struggle and we let our limitations and we let our current identity prevent us from doing what we need to do. But they were given to you because you're meant to bring them into reality. So you being here, you deciding that you are the one, that you're ready to be the one to make all of this change. Good. Hear it, heed it, work from it. Don't push it away. Listen to it, okay? But there's something first that we have to acknowledge. That same imagination that you can use to create the life that you want and to create these extraordinary possibilities, that same imagination, unfortunately, creates your limitations, right? And this is where, again, we talk about, I'm not qualified. This is where we talk about, oh, I don't have enough money, so I can't invest in a thing. Or I don't have enough money, so these are the activities that I'm going to allow myself to do. I'm not the right size. I'm not the right color. I'm not the right shape. I'm not this. I'm not that. Limitations are created. They're not real unless we allow them to be real. Even the saying, the sky's the limit, that is a limitation. I do not believe the sky's the limit because you can go past the sky. I mean, rockets have gone past the sky. The sky that we see is not the limit. There is no limit unless you allow there to be a limit, okay? And so this is what I want to talk about next. There are 2 ways that people use their imagination, okay? Most people don't intentionally use their imagination to design their lives. They don't intentionally use their imagination to destroy their lives either, but they do. What they do is they use it to rehearse the problems that are in their lives that they don't even realize. You're rehearsing it and rehearsing it and rehearsing it. And as you are rehearsing it, you're impressing that upon your subconscious and you're making that a part of your identity. And so everything you do thereafter will provide evidence of what you've mentally rehearsed. Does that make sense? So when we do this, it's completely unconscious. Completely unconscious. We have no idea that we're doing it until you learn to look for these signs, right? And so we imagine, I won't say we, because I very rarely do this, but imagine worst case scenarios, okay? Imagine things going wrong. Imagine failure. They imagine rejection. Oh, I won't talk to that person because they're going to reject me, or I'm not going to apply for this job because they're going to reject me, or I'm going to mess up, so they're just going to reject me. We imagine those things, right? They imagine the business not working out. So you want to create a business for your life, something that is for you, using your zone of genius, your gifts. And then you decide it's not going to work out. So, or you post on social media and you only got, the 200 people jail, where only 200 people, maybe 50 people see what you've posted. And so you decide it's not working, it's a failure. It's not meant for you. It's only good for people who can speak. It's only good for people who are beautiful. It's only good for people who are handsome. It's only good for people who are rich. We imagine the business falling apart. So this is what we do, right? We imagine those things. And people imagine themselves being disappointed all the time. All the time. And the more they rehearse these images in their mind, the more those outcomes become real. The more those outcomes they begin to feel real. Okay? Because you're impressing it upon yourself and it becomes something that affects your nervous system. And so when it's time to go do something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, you're like, ooh, can't do it, doesn't feel good. And then you say that's intuition. But it's not intuition because intuition feels good. Right? So I need you to understand something very clearly in this matter when it comes to this. That's not your spirit leading, because your spirit's not going to lead you to that. That's your human conditioning taking over. And we've all been conditioned in some way or another. It's just what it is. We've been taught to live life a certain way. When I was growing up, the conditioning was, you go to school, you get a job, you meet the guy or the girl, you get married, you have the kids. In between there, you buy the house, you buy the car. You're working in this job for the rest of your life. You get the gold watch, you retire, and then you have fun for 15 years before you die. That is the conditioning, right? Things are changing now as generations change, move on. But this was the conditioning. And for a very long time, I lived that life because that's what I was conditioned to believe. I was also conditioned to believe that people that look like me could only earn a certain amount of money, that could only be in certain rooms, had to work twice as hard to get half as much. I was also conditioned to believe that, right? And at times, life proved that to be true. But then there were other opportunities where I'm like, you know what? I choose not to believe that. I choose not to believe that. Now, what do I choose to believe? I choose to believe that I can have whatever I want. I can go wherever I want. I can be whoever I want. I can make as much money as I want. I can live the life that I want. I don't have to have him. I don't have to have her. I can have that one. I can have that one. I can create whatever it is that I want to create because I'm a spirit having a human experience. And I was created to live life to the fullest, just as you were, okay? Just as you were. I need you to understand that. So all that other stuff is your human conditioning taking over. It's the part of your mind that's been programmed by past experiences and by fear and by doubt. And half of the time, these conditions and these conditionings and the limitations that we live by, they were created by someone else. And so we're living based on ideas that somebody else has, not our own. Do you see how you cannot be the one if you're living by somebody else's measuring stick? Does that make sense to you? Okay. So when that conditioning takes over and when it starts to dominate your imagination, it begins shaping your identity, the identity that you're actually operating from. So the identity that you're living from right now, right? And then it creates even more limitation. And it just becomes a cycle, something that you're going through over and over again. And that's why when we get to January 1st and we have our New Year's resolutions, right? We're like, I lived last year, the year before. I didn't reach my goals. I'm going to have the same goals. Why am I still in the same circumstance when I decided that I was going to do something different? It's because of the conditionings and because of the limitations and because of the way that we're using our imagination to create the life that we have. Okay? So if you understand that, then you can understand that your thoughts create your life. Your imagination creates your life. Create your future, create your now. It's all in you. So if you're in your 30s or your 40s and your 50s and your life sucks, most of the time it's because of our past thoughts, our past conditioning, our nervous system, and what we've allowed. But now that you understand that you are in power of your thoughts and your imagination, you can create different circumstances. You absolutely can. You can literally think your way into different results, okay? So if you begin to believe, like when you're in those limitations, you begin to believe that your dreams are just dreams and they're not possible for you, when they are. You begin to believe that it's not going to happen for you because, again, you're not qualified, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not thin enough, you're not, the right skin tone. All of these limitations, all of these things that we've heard, even growing up in the playground, in the schoolyard. You're dumb, you're this. It starts to permeate if you allow it to. You're not rich enough. Those limitations are designed to keep you right where you are. And most people just let them do that. But that's not why we're here, okay? So I want you to remember, there are no limits except for the ones that you allow. There are no limits except for the ones that you allow, which leads me to this next important piece of conversation. Okay? And it's because imagination creates the vision, but identity and who you are, who you believe you are, actually determines the actions you take. And that's where you're going to see certain things. So yes, it's great that you're doing all the things, my friend, but it's more so about who you're being while you're doing those things. And so I want to talk about the identity that keeps a lot of people stuck. Okay? Once an identity forms, once it's created, it quickly begins running your life. It quickly begins running your life. Everything you do is from the lens of that identity. It's who you've decided that you are. And it's because you've decided that you are this person, you allow for certain things and you don't allow for certain things. You allow for certain types of relationships and you don't allow for certain types of relationships. Sometimes you close yourselves off to love. Sometimes you close yourself off to wealth. Because if I'm too wealthy, then someone's going to rob me or someone's going to want to take advantage. That's part of the identity of struggle, which is what I want to talk about really, okay? Your identity determines what you believe is possible. Did you know that? Your identity determines what you believe is possible. It determines what risks or what chances that you're willing to take. It determines what opportunities you go after. And it determines the ones that you avoid. But I think most importantly, it determines the actions that you take consistently. So your results right now are based on the actions that you consistently take, which is based on the identity that you possess, the identity that you're living from. And this is why two people can have the exact same dream, but produce two completely different outcomes. Okay? So one person is going to decide that they're going to build a thriving business. Okay? While the other person decides that they're going to just wait for the right moment. The thing is this, though. There's not really a difference in their intelligence, in their level of intelligence or how smart they are. It's not even luck. It's identity. And only identity. So now the identity that keeps people stuck, which is the topic of this section right here, is struggle. It's a struggle identity. It's a survival identity. And what that is, it's a nervous system identity. And that's formed through repetition. It's formed through conditioning, and it's formed through lived experience. This is why when I say we're living the same year over and over again, it's being impressed within us. It's now our identity, okay? So a struggle identity essentially sounds like this on the inside, okay? Someone who has a struggle identity might say, I just need more time. I need a little more time. I need a little more time. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. Nothing comes to me easily. Nothing comes to me easily. I have to work again twice as hard just to survive. I have to work twice as hard just to survive. I'll invest in myself when I feel stable. I'll invest in myself when I have time. I'll invest in myself when I have money. I will do the thing when, instead of I will be the thing now, which will lead me to it. Right? They say, I'm trying my best. When sometimes your best isn't good enough. It is what it is. Sorry, baby. Those ideas didn't just become thoughts. Okay? They eventually became your self-image. And that's what keeps you stuck. Your self-image, your self-concept, your self-identity, who you believe you are, causes everything. It causes everything. So now, even when opportunities would appear, even when space opens up, or even when an easier way becomes available to you, you know what happens? Your system doesn't recognize it as safe. It doesn't. And so you unconsciously recreate pressure and urgency in the worst way, and overthinking and overworking and tight timelines and financial stress. You put yourself through that. You do that. And you don't do it because you're broken, nor because you're unlucky. You don't do it because of that. You literally do it because your subconscious is loyal to the identity. Your subconscious is loyal to who it believes you are. So we need to change that loyalty, and we need to change who you believe you are, okay? And so going back to those statements before, those like I'm too busy, or I can't do it, or I tried my best, and all of those things, they might sound reasonable to anybody, right? They might sound reasonable, but They reveal something a little deeper. They reveal a person who hasn't yet decided who they're becoming. So you're just coasting through life. You're just existing. You're just kind of going through the motions. You have no idea who you want to be, how you want to live, what we're going to do next, okay? But I'll tell you this, the person who is the one, okay, they actually speak differently. So the one doesn't say, I hope things will work out. The one is going to say, I'm building the life that I see in my mind. I'm creating my life, okay? The one says, I am the person who's changing my family's financial future. Me, I'm the one who's doing that. The one, they say, I'm creating wealth and opportunity and freedom. And once someone begins to adopt that identity, their behavior begins to change naturally. And it's not even like they had to think to do something differently. Once you decide to be someone different, you naturally just move in a different way. You naturally just move in a different way, unconsciously. You think differently. You start to move differently. You make decisions faster. You stop waiting for permission. Okay? You invest in your transformation. You don't put things off. And when I say you invest in your transformation, you invest time, you invest money, you invest effort in you, because you are your greatest asset. And your transformation is the thing that's going to get you what you desire, the life that you want, not the life that you're settling for. And as far as I'm concerned, so many people settle. We settle all the time. And when you think about a settlement, you think about in court, right? People typically settle when they don't believe they can get what they deserve. They don't believe they can get what they desire, what they want. So they just accept. It feels good enough, I'll take it. I just want to live a comfortable life. You lie. You lie. You want to live an extraordinary life. We are here once. We have one human experience, and you just want to get by? You just want to be able to pay your bills and get by? Really? Is that why you're here? That's not why I'm here. I don't believe that's why any of you who are on this live right now are here, because you want to be the one, okay? You understand something clearly. The one understands something clearly, that the life they require, and I think you're getting this now, requires, the life that you want requires a new identity to sustain it. So once you get this new life, you can't go back to who you were. That person, like, may they rest well. You're not going back to them, because the moment you decide to go back to them, everything that you've accomplished, everything that you've allowed for, everything that you've made changes to have in your life to impact other people will, I'll say mysteriously disappear, but it's not mysterious. You're going to mismanage it. You're going to sabotage it. You're going to leak it. You're going to let it go by the wayside. You're going to give it away. Your spirit, your nervous system will not accept it anymore, because it won't feel safe, because you've gone back into that old identity. And this is why what I do for a living within our programs, when we do the embodiment work, and we do it for at least 6 months at a time, causes you to not go back into that old identity. It helps you go into the new identity and stay there and grow from there. Okay? So identity transformation, or an identity shift, is exactly the journey of becoming the one. It's where it starts. It's where it starts, okay? And so I know for a lot of people, at some point in your life, something, again, starts to happen on the inside. And it usually happens when you get older, and you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s. Because when you're in your teens and your 20s, it's all about having fun, and it's all about the doing. And then you realize, wait a minute, I've done these things. Okay, now what? Okay, I've experienced the club life, now what? I've spent my money frivolously, now what? Okay, at some point something begins to shift on the inside, and again, it starts very quietly. It's very quiet. It's a longing. It's a desire, right? I mean, I never thought in my life I would use the word longing and speak about desires so much. But as I get older, that's exactly what it is. And if you've ever felt it, which I know you have, and it's why you're here today, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? So it's that deep sense that's within you, within the life that you're living right now, that this isn't the life that you actually were meant to be living, okay? It's not. And it's okay, like, if you have a complete 180 and decide to change careers, because you might have just done what was available to you, right? Done what you thought was right. When I went to university, when I got to the university, and I'm in Canada and my university was in the US, when I got there, my intended program was canceled. What am I gonna do? So I was like, okay, well, what can make me money? I don't work in that field at all. I do not enjoy it. I don't love it. I'm not in that field at all. So it's okay for you to shift, because something inside of you is telling you that this is not meant for you. You don't have to live a life you don't love, okay? So while everything could look normal on the outside, you might have responsibilities, you might have a routine, and you have your job, or you have a business or obligations that keep you moving on a day-to-day basis, right? That's fine. But on the inside, something feels unsettled. Something feels unsure. Because part of you knows that another version of your life is waiting to be lived. Okay? You just don't know how to get it yet. And that's fine. As long as you know that there's another version that's waiting to be lived and you're willing to get there, we will help you get there. Okay? It's the version where you wake up feeling aligned. It's the version where money flows in and out in a different way, where it's circulated in a different way. It's the version where peace actually lives in your home and peace actually lives within you, okay? Where you're creating something so meaningful instead of just simply surviving the week, okay? Looking forward to the weekend, which is a scam as far as I'm concerned. When you're not constantly calculating how to make things work, but you're living in overflow. Okay? That longing is powerful, wouldn't you say? It's powerful. And it tends to show up in very specific moments. I'll say that. So it shows up when you see someone building the life that you know that you're capable of. It shows up when you're scrolling through social media and you're like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time? It shows up in all of those things. It shows up when you realize that another year has passed and you're still standing in the exact same place financially and emotionally and physically. It shows up when you think about the dreams that you once had, and then you start to wonder where they went. Where did those dreams go? It shows up when you imagine your future and you quietly ask yourself, is this really it? This can't be all there is. It can't. And I'll tell you this, again, this wanting, this longing, it's not random. It's not random. It is your spirit reminding you that there is more available to you. Listen to it. Listen to it. Because over time, if that longing is ignored long enough, it turns into something even stronger. It turns into frustration. And maybe you're frustrated right now. I know I was frustrated when I was constantly and consistently working so hard and having little to show for it, and working every day, working so hard and still being in foreclosure. I wasn't lazy, okay? I ignored the longing. I ignored it for so long. Because I didn't think that I was supposed to do it, because I didn't think I was qualified to do it, because I didn't think that was meant for me, because it was a part of an identity. My old identity of struggle, of survival, of hustle and flow, was holding me back, okay? That frustration, it's a frustration that you can't explain away. You can't. And eventually that turns into a feeling that so many people describe as the same thing. They say the same things over and over again. Tell me if you've been here. You hear the phrase, I'm sick and tired, right? sick and tired. But it's not just sick and tired, but sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're over it. You're done with it. Now, when people say this, they usually laugh about it because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like, ha ha ha. You don't really want people to know exactly what's going on with you. And you're not being honest. But when the feeling behind it, it's very, very real. And I know this again because I've lived it. And living in that state is carrying a constant weight on your shoulders. It's constantly not feeling fulfilled. You wake up and the first thing that you're thinking about in your mind is your responsibilities. It's your bills. It's your deadlines. It's your kids. It's your family. It's the pressures. It's the job that you don't love that you have to go to every day. It's the boss who gets on your nerves. And if they say one more thing to you one more time, you're just going to flip a table. Okay? And you go through your day doing all the things that have to be done. You do. But on the inside, that quiet voice, again, it just keeps saying, there has to be more than this. And this was my exact thought when I was working the corporate job that I hated. Oh, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I kept thinking about the fact, and this is like my very first corporate job, I kept thinking about the fact that retirement was still 40 plus years away. Okay? I wasn't having any fun. And all I did was pay for things that I was too tired to enjoy. Because I was working and working and working and working and working and working and working. Too tired to enjoy. You have a house that you make your payments on. Praise God you have one. That you can't even really enjoy. You have this beautiful car that you drive to work and back to spend just a little bit of time in the house that you're paying for that you can't even really enjoy. You go on a vacation based on what your budget allows, or you don't go on a vacation at all because you're too tired or you don't have the means. It's not what we're supposed to be living, okay? So then one day I was scrolling through social media and I had asked them, like, how do I get out of this? I just need to change. I know it's me. I know it's not about what I'm doing. Send me somebody. And I was sent my then mentor. Okay. So for most people, then one day you're just going to be scrolling through social media and you're going to see people creating and you're going to see people building and you're going to see people expanding and they're expanding their lives and something inside of you is going to respond. It's going to say, But this time it's not going to be jealousy. It's actually recognition. You're like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too. And that's when you know things have changed for you. That's when you know things have changed for you. You're no longer just going to be living in desperation. Because when you're in desperation, it's really hard for you to move forward. You got to get out of that. You're just going to be like, I'm inspired. That's cool, right? Because you know that if they're capable of doing something powerful, you're capable of doing something powerful too. But the frustration comes from feeling like your life is sitting on pause while time continues to move forward. How are we doing on time? Okay. While time continues to move forward, it's living with that feeling is exhausting. It's exhausting. It's like having a vision that's locked inside of you that never gets expressed. You know what I mean? And at some point, that feeling reaches a breaking point, and eventually you realize something. Well, hopefully for you. Nothing is going to change if you don't change. Nothing changes unless you change it. No one is coming to you. I know Rapunzel was sitting in her tower in quarantine and she found a man, but that's not going to happen. Okay? Nothing is going to change unless you change. The opportunity to create a different life has been sitting in front of you the entire time. The entire time. And this is why, like, I like to explain it in this way, okay? Imagine somebody handed you a check. Okay, so I have a check. Boom, bam, boop. It's for you. It's $10 million. No strings attached. It's completely yours. Do with it what you will, okay? I put it right in your hand. $10 million. It's just for you. But instead of walking to the bank or driving to the bank and cashing it, you take that $10 million check that is yours, no strings attached. You can do with it what you will. You fold it up and you put it in a drawer. And then every day you continue to struggle financially. Every day. While that check sits in your drawer untouched and uncashed. Now, does that make sense? Does that make any kind of sense? No, of course not. Because at some point, if we say to ourselves honestly, that would be reckless behavior, right? That's irresponsible. It's foolish. It's just downright foolish because the opportunity is there. The check is there. It's simply just not acted on. And so we have all of these opportunities ahead of us, in front of us all the time. Somebody will come online and teach you something and say, hey, look, this is what you've got to do, A, B, C, and D, and you save it and you put it in your favorites, which is the same thing as putting it in your drawer. And you never go and check on it. You never do anything about it. Today, we're doing something about it. We're going to take that one step further, okay? This is exactly what happens when people feel that desire, that longing. There's that word again. That's what happens when you start to desire for a different life, but you don't take action. That's what it looks like. $10 million check and putting it in the drawer, okay? Your vision is there. It exists. The potential is there. It exists. The gifts that you have, they're there. They exist. But that person who keeps postponing the moment they decide to move, they keep putting it off. They keep naming their limitations, okay? They keep finding reasons not to do what needs to be done. They keep the excuse on the top of, the tip of their tongue. They keep their excuse on the tip of their tongue so that if they take the tiniest step forward and then they face an obstacle, they can say, see, I knew it wasn't meant to be. See, I knew it wouldn't work. I knew it, even though they want it, okay? And that's just being loyal to your limitations. And that's where the conversation has to shift, because becoming the one is not only about escaping your frustration, it's about stepping into your purpose, okay? Understand this. The one doesn't want to just make a change for themselves or make a better life for themselves, okay? They feel called to make an impact. I don't know if you feel that call, but they feel called to make an impact. They feel called to use the gifts that God placed inside of them. They want to build something meaningful. They want to build something that changes lives. They want to create opportunities for other people. Okay, something that becomes part of the legacy that they leave behind. That's what they want to do. So when the one builds wealth, it's not just about the money. It's not. It's about what the money makes possible. It's about helping family members who struggled before them. It's about teaching them something. It's about creating stability for the next generation. It's about building businesses and services and ideas and things that improve other people's lives. It's about showing people what's possible. It's showing people what's possible when someone decides to rise above the limitations that they were handed or the limitations they created. Okay? That's the deeper motivation. That's the inspired reasoning behind becoming the one. That's it. It's not just about personal success. It's about transformation that ripples outward. It spirals down and out. Okay? It's the domino effect. Let's call it that. Because when one person in a family decides to rise, everything begins to change. Whether it's, the people come with you or not, everything begins to change. Your financial patterns change. Your belief systems change. Your expectations change. Everything begins to change. The standard for what's possible changes. Where your standards might be here, your standards are going to raise. They're going to rise. Okay? And generations that haven't even been born yet are going to benefit from that one decision. that you made to become the one. That is the power of the one. That is the power of the one. So it's a decision that must be made. And the reason that I've expressed all of this, what I've talked to you about already, is because I need you to understand. I need you to see where there might be some limitations within you right now that we need to move past. I need you to see the identity that you're possessing right now that you might need to replace with something else. So it's important to know where you are before you know where you're going. Okay? Just like a history lesson, if you don't know what happened in the past, you can't prevent it from happening in the future. Okay? But this is where the moment becomes real, and I love this, okay? The wanting by itself, the longing by itself, the desiring by itself, it does not create your transformation. Just so you're aware. Feeling sick and tired does not create the transformation, okay? Even recognizing your potential does not create the transformation. At some point, action has to be taken, okay? The one is not the person who just feels the calling. They're the one who actually answers that call, okay? They're the one who answers that call. And so let's talk about what makes the one different. Let's talk about what makes the one different. Okay. Just checking to see if there are any comments. The one who's different than everybody else, right? Like there are people who say they want to make changes in their life. Everybody wants to make changes in their life at some point or another. We're not trees. We're not stuck. We're not meant to be dormant, right? To lie dormant. So there are always going to be things that we want to improve upon. There are things that we might just want to change, situations we want to change, we want to deviate from, houses we want to move into, we want to leave, jobs we want to leave, whatever. We need to talk about what makes the one different from everybody else that wants to change their life, right? So by the time that person reaches, I guess, this point in their life, this point in their journey, that thing inside them is already woken up. That I'm ready to up level. I'm ready to level up. I'm ready to next level, right? That's woken up, right? And they feel that pull towards being something else. They feel that pull towards that bigger life. And we know they feel the desire. We talked about that, to create something meaningful. We also know that they feel the frustration of knowing they're capable of more. We talked about that. But the truth is this. The truth that separates the dreamers from the builders. Do I want to say that? Yeah, there's a truth that separates the dreamers from the builders. The dreamers are the ones who have the idea. It's nice. It's cute. I'd love to do it. I want to be a millionaire, and I want to win the lottery one day and never play the lottery. I want to be a millionaire and you're given a $10 million check and you don't cash the check. That's the dreamer, not the builder. The builder cashes the check, right? Okay. The truth that separates them is that not everyone who feels the calling will become the one. Not everyone who feels the calling will become the one, okay? There are multiple ones over multitudes of locations, and you decide to be the one for your family, great. You feel the pull, great. Let's see where this goes. Many people are going to feel it, but not many people are going to answer it, okay? So what actually makes the one different? Why does that person step forward and reshape their future while another person continues to live the same life that they're living year after year after year? These are the questions that we have to ask. And it's not because the one is smarter, okay? There are many people who have PhDs, MDs that just, sometimes it's got nothing to do with how smart you are. Sometimes it just means that you're good at taking tests, okay? It isn't because they've been handed better circumstances or more money, even though people think that. It isn't because of better opportunities. And it certainly isn't because life is easier for them, why they became the one. No. Okay, the difference lies in a set of qualities. This is so important. A set of qualities that shape how they move through the world. And so I want you to pay attention to this. In fact, write these down. Okay, write these down. I'm going to give you a set of qualities that the one possesses, and I know this for a fact. Okay, I know this to be true. The first thing you're going to notice about the one is their vision reaches beyond them. It's number one. Their vision reaches beyond them. It's bigger than themselves. Okay? Yes, of course, they want prosperity. And yes, of course, they want freedom. And yes, of course, they want to experience the fullness of life. Yeah, of course. But their ambition is not rooted in selfishness. It's rooted in contribution. Rooted in contribution. Think about it. The people who do like really great big things, they impact others in one form or another. So the one wants to build something that improves the lives of others. They want to create opportunities and they want to inspire people, the people who come after them. And they want their work and their ideas and their courage to just domino effect, ripple forward, shooting star. That's what they want. When they imagine success, they don't only see themselves benefiting, right? They see the families that they've helped. They see the communities that they've uplifted. They see the people that they've encouraged to believe in what's possible. There's compassion behind their ambition, okay? There's service behind their success. And because of that, they carry a deep awareness that their life is a part of something bigger, something larger. That is part of the one. And they're not just simply passing time in the world, passing through this world. Okay, they literally intend to leave evidence that they were here. They want their existence to mean something. They want their gifts to be used. Okay, they want their time on earth to produce impact. That is the one. They have that sense of purpose. Okay, and that then fuels the next quality of the one, which is number 2, persistence. Persistence. It's actually one of our higher faculties as well. I teach a lot about that within my unlimited program. Okay. The one doesn't stop when things get difficult. They don't. They only stop when the mission is complete. They keep going until ... until, or when something even greater emerges along the way. That's when they'll stop. Yeah? So think about this. Most people approach their goals with excitement and they've got enthusiasm in the beginning, right? They're like, yeah, it's a great idea. I'm going for it. I'm going to do it. It's like the New Year's resolution where I'm going to go to work out in the gym, and then 3 months later, don't know what that sound was, but you get the point. Okay? When those obstacles appear, or when they get tired, when the shit hits the fan, or when it starts to take a little longer than they anticipated because they set a deadline for themselves that they haven't met yet, their energy fades. They pull back. They begin to question themselves. They begin to slow down. And eventually they just walk away from the vision altogether. Right? The one doesn't do that. They operate in a different way. So when resistance appears, they just interpret it in a different way. They recognize that life is not linear, that business has ebbs and flows, that shit's gonna happen, but you're made to respond, not to react to it. You're ready for this. You'll find a way. You always will always find a way, right? So instead of seeing obstacles as signals to stop, they see them as part of the construction process. Okay? Because life happens, and building something requires meaningful effort. It requires meaningful effort. So things are going to happen. It's not meant to be a test, but it's giving you the opportunity to show up as the person that you say you are. Right? You're the one? Okay, cool. Boom. Here's every opportunity to show that you're the one. Things are going to happen. Okay? This is part of the human experience. And so they keep going, and they build their future the same way they built it, like an empire is built. They build their future the same way an empire is built, brick by brick. Brick by brick. And some days those bricks feel small, like a conversation or a new idea or a lesson learned or a strategy tested, right? Those are small bricks. But every action adds another layer to the structure that they're creating, brick by brick by brick. Even when people doubt them, they're still building. They're still building. Even when circumstances challenge the process, they continue building brick by brick brick by brick. They are committed to the result. Are you committed to the result? Okay? Another quality number 3 that separates the one from the crowd is their sense of urgency. Their sense of urgency, okay? Now, when people hear the word urgency, they sometimes misunderstand it. Urgency doesn't mean to panic. It's urgent, it's urgent. Urgency does not necessarily mean to panic. And it doesn't mean like rushing around in chaos, like a chicken without its head, okay? Urgency means recognizing that your life matters. It matters too much. Your life matters too much to postpone your purpose. That's what urgency means. Your life matters too much to postpone your purpose. The one understands that their time is valuable, that all time is valuable, because we're on borrowed time. Our time is limited, okay? So they don't operate from the mindset of, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll do it someday. One day, because nobody ever knows when one day is. Instead, that urgency begins to spark something. It ignites a movement, right? It pushes them to act now rather than later. It drives them to complete their tasks instead of always delaying them. I'll do it later. I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. So when somebody moves with that kind of energy, lots of powerful things begin, right? They begin to happen. The first thing that happens is that your action becomes immediate, because now this is part of your identity. You're impressing something upon you. Because I am this kind of person, this is just naturally how I would move. This is what I would do. So when the thought comes to me, I'm just going to act on it. Your action becomes immediate. Now, if this is you as the one, you're going to stop overthinking simple decisions, right? You as the one, you're going to stop waiting for perfect conditions. You as the one, you're going to just start executing your ideas pretty quickly, fairly quickly, right? The second thing is your growth comes at a faster pace. And that's so good. It's so good, because progress increases when you're consistently moving forward. Yeah? So every step produces information. Every action that you take creates feedback, whether it's constructive or not. We need to have this feedback, okay? It's the only way that we're going to know if we're learning, we're growing, okay? Each experience develops a skill that we can use for something else, and then momentum starts to build. And that's good. The third thing is that your complacency starts to diminish. The complacency that you experience, it starts to disappear, which is good, because urgency breaks the spell of the status quo. And that's a good thing. It is what it is. It's just what it is. Things are just meant to be this way. You use the excuse of it's God's will when God doesn't want you to live that way. Urgency breaks the spell of status quo. And some of you are under a spell, and I don't like that. I don't like that for you. It forces you to acknowledge that change is necessary. And instead of settling for what exists, you begin to start to shape what could exist. You do that because you're the one. The fourth thing that happens is your decisions happen faster. You make quicker decisions. You make expansive decisions. So the one, they start to develop a do it now mindset. Just get it done. A do it now mindset. Not when the money comes. Not when the time is right. Not when I feel better. When an opportunity appears, they just move. If somebody's here to guide you and teach you and mentor you, they invest in the guidance and teaching and mentoring. They don't just favorite it and look for the free content. They move. Okay? When a strategy needs to be tested, they implement it. They test it. Figure it out, right? They refuse to allow hesitation to steal time from their progress. They refuse to allow hesitation to steal time from their progress. And the last thing is this. They keep their goals alive. That's what the one does. They keep their goals alive, because you're going to be inundated with so much information, so many things in your life, so many obstacles, so many problems, so many responsibilities, so many decisions. And while that's happening, you still need to keep your goal alive. You still need to keep your goal alive. So when something really matters, what matters deeply is a sense of importance. Okay? That importance fuels your motivation. And I don't really care about motivation because motivation is fleeting, but it creates discipline, which to me is better than motivation. Okay? It encourages a person to meet objections instead of drifting away, letting them drift away from them. So you're going to meet those obligations, but there's an important distinction that needs to be made here, okay? Not all urgency is healthy. I talked to you at the top. I was like, well, some people think it's panicking. They think it's rushing. It's running around with a chicken without your head on, right? There is a line between purpose-driven urgency and pressure-driven urgency. So a healthy sense of urgency is fueled by your vision. It's fueled by what you want, what you see, what you allow yourself to create in your mind. It comes from that desire to win. Yeah, okay? It's energized by your purpose. That's good. Unhealthy urgency, on the other hand, it comes from fear. Because if I don't do what needs to be done now, something's going to happen, right? It's driven by panic and anxiety and frustration. It's driven by all of those things. And so when somebody operates from that state, their change or their thoughts begin to change. And so then their decisions are not responsive. They're reactions, right? They just react. They react in a way that usually is not helpful to the situation at hand. And so their nervous system then shifts immediately into survival mode. That's fight, flight, or freeze. And when your nervous system is dysregulated, you don't make wise decisions. You don't make good decisions at all. You take poor actions. You might not take any action. And inaction is inaction, right? You hide. You don't want to deal with it. And so you try to distract yourself. You do all of these things. And so when people are in that state, they often talk to themselves in a certain way. It's almost the same thing across the board for everyone, right? They'll say, especially a person who wants to earn more, or they're in a state where they're not earning enough, okay? They're not earning enough to live the life that they desire. If I don't make money this month, how am I going to pay my rent? I won't be able to pay it. If I don't get this client, everything is going to fall apart. Everything is going to fall apart. I need to make these sales. I need to sell my books. I need to sell whatever it is that I create, my cookies, whatever it is. Or people are going to think I'm a failure, right? If this opportunity does not work out, I don't know what I'm going to do. In those moments, that person begins threatening themselves with negative outcomes. I'm going to lose my home. That's a threat on yourself. Like literally threatening themselves. If I don't do this, you're threatening yourself. Instead of, I need to be this person so that I can make this happen. Pressure, focused urgency. There's a difference. They create so much pressure by imagining disaster that if something happens, or that like if something doesn't happen quickly, it's just going to fall apart. It's just going to be a mess. And the wild thing is they call that ambition. I'm going, I've got to go, I'm hustling, I'm doing all the things. They call it ambition. It's not ambitious. But in reality, it's just a fast track to overwhelming your mind and your body. You know? And so when you're constantly operating underneath that kind of internal pressure, your nervous system becomes dysregulated. And then the decisions that you make, they become frantic and they're all over the place, and your ability to be creative disappears and your confidence weakens. That happens. And so instead of building from inspiration, you're operating from fear. And my friend, fear very rarely produces sustainable success. You know? Very rarely produces sustainable success. We are already over time. We are already over time. I'm just going to keep going, and then we will take our break and then return. Okay? I just looked at the time. There's a lot of information here. A lot of information, but it's important. It's important that you understand this, okay? So The person who decides to be the one, they avoid that trap. Their urgency comes from their vision, okay? From what they see from themselves. It doesn't come from panic. They move because they're excited. They move because they're excited about what they're creating. They move because they believe in their mission, okay? They move because they recognize the value of time. That time is expensive. It costs a lot. And wasted time, well, it costs too much. They recognize that. And so when challenges appear, they stay steady. They're okay. They might get a little, ooh, what do I got to do? But then they pull it back, okay? Because they're not chasing validation from outside the world. They're not doing that. They're literally fulfilling a calling that already lives within them. And so history gives us so many examples of people who've carried that mindset. And I think of one powerful example in Steve Jobs. We all know who he was, right? Steve Jobs was this really dynamic and powerful person, okay? Powerful in mind, okay? Really dynamic and powerful person. He was not interested, as far as I'm concerned, in making minor adjustments or minor improvements to existing technology, okay? He wanted to change the way the whole world interacted with technology. And so when he introduced products like the iPhone and the MacBook, right? He wasn't just launching devices, okay? He was literally transforming how people communicate and how people work and how people create. And now some of you are sitting here on an iPhone or watching this on your MacBook, okay? He was transforming that. He challenged the assumptions of an entire industry because people said, this is not something that could work. What are you talking about? We use PCs and we use it like this, right? He literally disrupted what people believed technology could be. He changed the world. He was the one. And so whether someone loved his approach or not, and a lot of people didn't love his approach, one thing is for sure, he was undeniable. And that's something that you need to become as the one, undeniable, okay? He left a mark on the world. And that is literally the spirit of the one. You're leaving the mark on the world. So understand this, the one is not here to blend in quietly. That's not why you're here. You're here to create something meaningful, to build something that lasts, to leave the world differently than you found it, okay? And when that person begins embracing those qualities, so your, again, purpose and your persistence and the urgency and the impact, they begin stepping into the identity that makes extraordinary outcomes possible. The one does not wait for change. The one, they become the force that creates that change, okay? They become the one that creates that change. So it is now 1:40. We are at the end of session 1. We're going to take 30 minutes and arrive back here at 2:10, and we're going to continue on. And I'm going to teach you how to transform. I'm going to teach you about what you need to do. Because now you understand who you need to be and how you need to move. But I'm going to teach you about what you need to do, how you need to think as the one, and all that comes along with it, your internal dialogue. These are the things that are going to be the catalyst to you actually taking the steps to become the one. It's nice that you want it, but now let's see if you're committed to it, okay? So I will be back here at 2:10. I am excited to see you back here at 2:10. Go stretch your legs. Go get a drink, go to the washroom, go review your notes, do whatever you must, take a phone call, call that person back, let people know that you're in this powerful session that's going to change everything for you. Or maybe don't and just change your life, whatever it is. But I will see you back here at 2:10 in 30 minutes, okay? See you soon.